Hello friends, today we are going to learn a very crucial area in the field of organizational behavior, personality. A personality of an individual decides how the individual will respond to different situations in an organization. This will help us to understand the needs and underlying emotions of a person and his responses. So, let's get started with our session. The session will contain information on personality and different factors shaping the personality, measuring personality, personality traits relevant to the organizational behavior. Personality refers to the wide range of individual attributes that distinguish people from one another. Personalities shape our behaviors. So, if we want to better understand behavior of someone, it helps if we know something about his or her personality. Understanding personality is useful both to the individual as well as to the organizations. Personality is a useful concept for organization as it helps managers to make hiring decisions, team selections and promotions. Individuals benefit from understanding their own personality by increasing their self-awareness, being better able to understand others and interpersonal relationships.
Personality is a dynamic concept describing the growth and development of a person's whole psychological system. The definition of personality we most frequently use was produced by Gordon Allport nearly 70 years ago. He said, personality is the dynamic organization within the individual of those psychophysical systems that determine his or her unique adjustment to his environment. Personality is the sum total of ways in which an individual reacts to and interacts with others. We most often describe it in terms of measurable traits a person exhibits. An early debate in personality research centered on whether an individual's personality was the result of heredity or of the environment. Clearly, there is no simple black and white answer. Personality appears to be a result of both heredity and environmental factors. However, it might surprise you that research has tended to support the importance of heredity over the environment. Heredity refers to factors determined at conception: physical stature, facial attractiveness, gender temperament, muscle composition and reflexes, energy level and biological rhythms are generally considered to be either completely or substantially influenced by who your parents are, that is, by their biological, physiological and inherent psychological makeup. The heredity approach argues that the ultimate explanation of an individual's personality is the molecular structure of the genes located in the chromosomes. The effects of heredity and environment on within individual human development are so intertwined that we cannot separate the two. Genetic effects are also environmental because they emerge in an environment, and environmental effects are also genetic because they are mediated by biological processes. Researchers in many different countries have studied thousands of sets of identical twins who were separated at birth and raised separately. If heredity played little or no part in determining personality, you would expect to find few similarities between these separated twins. But twins raised apart have much in common. For almost every behavioral trait, a significant part of the similarity between them turns out to be associated with genetic factors. One set of twins separated for 39 years and raised 45 miles apart were found to drive the same model and color of car. They chain smoked the same brand of cigarette, owned dogs with the same name and regularly vacationed within 3 blocks of each other in a beach community 1500 miles away. Researchers have found that genetics accounts for about 50% of the personality similarities between twins and more than 30% of the similarities in occupational and leisure interests. This is not to suggest that personality never changes, and analogy to intelligence may make this clearer. Children become smarter as they age. So, nearly everyone is smarter at age 20 than they were at age 10. Still, for example, if Amita is smarter than Rajesh at age 10, she is likely to be so at age 22. Measurement of personality. We can visualize personality as a set of patterns created by interactions between the genetic, biological, psychological and cultural influences. Personality characteristic can help top managers successfully differentiate their organizations from competitors through innovation, job and life satisfaction. This highlights the importance of understanding the different dimensions of personality and their measurement. One major approach to measurement is the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. The Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, which is widely known as MBTI, is the most widely used personality assessment instrument in the world. It is a 100-question personality test that asks people how they usually feel or act in a particular situation. On the basis of their answers, individuals are classified as extrovert or introvert, abbreviated as E or I, sensing or intuitive, abbreviated as S or N, thinking or feeling, abbreviated as T or F, and finally, judging or perceiving, abbreviated as J or P. These terms are defined as follows: extraverted versus introverted. Extraverted individuals are outgoing, sociable and assertive. Introverts are quiet and shy. Sensing versus intuitive. Sensing types are practical and prefer routine and order. They focus on details. Intuitive rely on unconscious processes and look at the big picture. Thinking versus feeling. Thinking types use reason and logic to handle problems. Feeling types rely on their personal values and emotions. Judging versus perceiving. Judging types want control and prefer their world to be ordered and structured. Perceiving types are flexible and spontaneous. These classifications together describe 16 personality types, which every person identified with one of the items in each of the 4 pairs. Let's explore several examples. Introverted / intuitive / thinking / judging people, in short known as INTJs, are visionaries. They usually have original minds and great drive for their own ideas and purposes. They are skeptical, critical, independent, determined and often stubborn. ESTjs are organizers. They are realistic, logical, analytical and decisive and have a natural head for business or mechanics. They like to organize and run activities. The ENTP type is a conceptualizer, an innovative, individualistic, versatile and person attracted to entrepreneurial ideas. This person tends to be resourceful in solving challenging problems but may neglect routine assignments. The MBTI is widely used by organizations including Apple Computers, AT&T, Citigroup, General Electric, 3M Company, many hospitals and educational institutions and even US Armed Forces. In spite of its popularity, evidence is mixed about the MBTI's validity as a measure of personality, with most of the evidence suggesting that it isn't. One problem is that it forces a person into either one type or another. In other words, you are either introverted or extraverted. There is no in between, though people can be both extraverted and introverted to some degree. The best we can say is that MBTI can be a valuable tool for increasing self-awareness and providing career guidance. The other measure is Big Five personality model. The MBTI may lack strong supporting evidence, but the same cannot be said for the Big Five model. An impressive body of research supports its thesis that 5 basic dimensions underlie all others and encompass most of the significant variation in human personality. The following are Big Five factors. Extraversion. The extraversion dimension captures our comfort level with relationships. Extroverts tend to be gregarious, assertive, and sociable. Introverts tend to be reserved, timid, and quiet. Agreeableness. The agreeableness dimension refers to an individual's propensity to differ to others. Highly agreeable people are cooperative, warm, and trusting. People who score low on agreeableness are cold, disagreeable, and antagonistic. Conscientiousness. The conscientiousness dimension is a measure of reliability. A highly conscientious person is responsible, organized, dependable, and persistent. Those who score low on this dimension are easily distracted, disorganized, and unreliable. Emotional stability. The emotional stability dimension, often labeled by its converse, neuroticism, taps a person's ability to withstand stress. People with positive emotional stability tend to be calm, self-confident, and secure. Those with high negative scores tend to be nervous, anxious, depressed, and insecure. Openness to experience. The openness to experience dimension addresses a range of interests and fascination with novelty. Extremely open people are creative, curious, and artistically sensitive. Those at the other end of the openness category are conventional and find comfort in the familiar. You might be wondering what is the important personality trait set which is relevant to organizational behavior. So, let us look at other more specific attributes that are powerful predictors of behavior in organizations. The first relates to our core self-evaluation. The others are Machiavellianism, narcissism, self-monitoring, propensity for risk-taking, and the type A and proactive personalities. Let us consider core self-evaluation. People who have positive core self-evaluations like themselves and see themselves as effective, capable, and in control of their environment. Those with negative core self-evaluations tend to dislike themselves, question their capabilities, and view themselves as powerless over their environment. People with positive core self-evaluations perform better than others because they set more ambitious goals, are more committed to their goals, and persist longer in attempting to reach these goals. One study of life insurance agents found core self-evaluations were critical predictors of their performance. 90% of life insurance sales calls end in rejection. So, an agent has to believe in him or herself to persist. In fact, this study showed the majority of successful salespersons did have positive core self-evaluations. These people also provide better customer service, are more popular co-workers, and have careers that both begin on better footing and ascend more rapidly over time. Let us consider Machiavellianism. Kuji is a young bank manager in Taiwan. He has had 3 promotions in the past 4 years and makes no apologies for the aggressive tactics he has used to propel his career forward. I am prepared to do whatever I have to do to get ahead, he says. Kuji would properly be called Machiavellian. Priyanka led her Mumbai-based company last year in sales performance. She is assertive and persuasive, and she is effective at manipulating customers to buy her product line. Many of her colleagues, including her boss, consider Priyanka Machiavellian. The personality characteristic of Machiavellianism, often abbreviated as Mac, is named after Niccolò Machiavelli, who wrote in the 16th century on how to gain and use power. An individual high in Machiavellianism is pragmatic, maintains emotional distance, and believes ends can justify means. If it works, use it, is consistent with high Mac perspective. A considerable amount of research has related high and low Mac personalities to behavioral outcomes. High Macs flourish when they interact face to face with others rather than indirectly. When the situation has a minimal number of rules and regulations allowing latitude for improvisation. When emotional involvement with details irrelevant to winning distracts low Macs. Thus, whether high Macs make good employees depends on the type of the job. Let us consider narcissism. Sunil likes to be at the center of attention. He looks at himself in the mirror a lot, has extravagant dreams, and considers himself a person of many talents. Sunil is a narcissist. The term is from the Greek myth of Narcissus, a man so vain and proud he fell in love with his own image. In psychology, narcissism describes a person who has a grandiose sense of self-importance, requires excessive admiration, has a sense of entitlement, and is arrogant. Narcissists often want to gain the admiration of others and receive affirmation of their superiority. They tend to talk down to those who threaten them, treating others as if they were inferior. Narcissists also tend to be selfish and exploitive and believe others exist for their benefit. Their bosses rate them as less effective at their jobs than others, particularly when it comes to helping other people. Self-monitoring. Smita Nair is always in trouble at work. Though she is competent, hardworking and productive, in performance reviews she is rated no better than average, and she seems to have made a career of irritating bosses. Smita's problem is that she is politically inept. She is unable to adjust her behavior to fit changing situations. As she puts it, I am true to myself. I don't remake myself to please others. We would describe Smita as low self-monitor. Self-monitoring refers to an individual's ability to adjust his or her behavior to external situational factors. Individuals high in self-monitoring show considerable adaptability in adjusting their behavior to external situational factors. They are highly sensitive to external cues and can behave differently in different situations. High self-monitors are capable of presenting striking contradictions between their public persona and their private self. Low self-monitors like Smita can't disguise themselves in that way. They tend to display their true dispositions and attitudes in every situation. Hence, there is a high behavioral consistency between who they are and what they do. Evidence indicates high self-monitors pay closer attention to the behavior of others and are more capable of conforming than are low self-monitors. They also receive better performance ratings, are more likely to emerge as leaders and show less commitment to their organizations. In addition, high self-monitoring managers tend to be more mobile in their careers, receive more promotions, both internal and cross-organizational, and are more likely to occupy central positions in an organization. Let us discuss risk-taking. Dhirubhai Ambani, the founder of Reliance Group, was the second son of a school teacher and started his entrepreneurial career by selling pakodas to pilgrims in Mount Girnar. At the age of 17, Dhirubhai went to Aden, which is now part of Yemen, and worked for A. Bessie and Company Limited, the sole selling distributor of Shell products. In 1958, Dhirubhai Ambani started his first company, Reliance Commercial Corporation, involved in trading and export in Mumbai in a 350 square feet office. He started his own company in 1965 and in 1966 he set up a textile mill in Ahmedabad. The rest is history. As they say, Dhirubhai Ambani was successful because of his phenomenal risk-taking ability and his belief in taking on and managing calculated risks. When he ventured into the backward integration project of setting up a plant to produce fiber intermediate, purified terephthalic acid or PTA, in the mid-1980s, he was taking on established business and businessmen. In the 1980s and 1990s, all capital intensive projects were very risky, but he never shied from taking such risks and inspiring his people to move forward. A high risk-taking propensity may lead to more effective performance for a stock trader in a brokerage firm because that type of a job demands rapid decision making. On the other hand, a willingness to take risks might prove a major obstacle to an accountant who performs auditing activities. The latter job might be better filled by somebody with a low risk-taking propensity. Let us look at type A personality. Do you know people who are excessively competitive and always seem to be experiencing a sense of time urgency? If you do, it's a good bet those people have type A personalities. A person with type A personality is aggressively involved in a chronic, incessant struggle to achieve more and more in less and less time, and if required to do so, against the opposing efforts of other things or of other persons. In today's competitive times, such characteristics tend to be highly prized and positively associated with ambition and the successful acquisition of material goods. Type A's exhibit the following characteristics. They are always moving, walking and eating rapidly. They feel impatient with the rate at which most events take place. They strive to think or do two or more things at once. They cannot cope with leisure time. They are obsessed with numbers, measuring their success in terms of how many or how much of everything they acquire. The type B is exactly the opposite. Rarely worried about the desire to obtain a wildly increasing number of things or participate in an endless growing series of events in an ever decreasing amount of time. Type Bs never suffer from a sense of time urgency with its accompanying impatience, can relax without guilt and so on. Let's talk about proactive personality. Did you ever notice that some people actively take the initiative to improve their current circumstances or create new ones? These are the proactive personalities. Those with a proactive personality identify opportunities, show initiative, take action and persevere until meaningful change occurs, compared to those who passively react to situations. Proactives create positive change in their environment regardless of or even in spite of constraints or obstacles. Not surprisingly, they have many desirable behaviors that organizations covet. They are more likely than others to be seen as leaders and to act as change agents within an organization. Other actions of proactives can be positive or negative depending on the organization and the situation. Proactives are more likely to challenge the status quo or voice their displeasure when situations aren't to their liking. As individuals, proactives are more likely than others to achieve career success. They select, create and influence work situations in their favor. They seek out job and organizational information, develop contacts in high places, engage in career planning and demonstrate persistence in the face of career obstacles.
Okay friends, let us summarize today's session. We learned about personality refers to a wide range of individual attributes that distinguish people from one another. Understanding personality is useful both to the individuals as well as to the organization. Personality is a useful concept for organization as it helps manager to make hiring decisions, team selection and promotions. Individuals benefit from understanding their own personality by increasing their self-awareness, being better able to understand others and interpersonal relationships. The factors that shape personality are heredity and environment. Measurement of personality is done through Myers and Briggs type indicator and the Big 5 personality model. I hope today's session proves to be beneficial to you. Thank you.